Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. Today is Monday, April 13th, 2026, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. To kick things off, meteorologist Mike Favetta with a real spring forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike. So winter's finally behind us. It
I think
is,
it's
we've
done.
We've had all of our holidays, the Islamic
Mhm.
holidays. We had Passover. We had Western Easter. And yesterday we had
Yes.
Orthodox Easter. That means
Uh-huh.
we are ready. Sleeves rolled
We
up. Summer come. Summer come. All right, spring. I'll take
I
spring first.
I don't want to
Spring
see
come.
that winter coat. I know I don't want to see the winter coat for at least another 8 months. That's how long this winter's been. It feels like it's been going on forever, and yet the mild weather that comes this week will make it feel like we're skipping ahead into summer. We have a little bit of cloud cover around this morning. That doesn't last all day, though. They will bring a few quick passing showers throughout the middle of the morning. You see that with the futurecast here, right into around lunchtime, that stripe of green. That's the front wiping on through across New Jersey. It actually clears out and brings back lots of sunshine this afternoon. Might even spark off a little thunderstorm there, isolated throughout the end of the day. But it's the round of warmth and clearing and sunshine for the next several days as the warm front slides through that allows temperatures to soar into the 80s this week. So this big area of warmth moves eastward over the next several days, kind of flipping the pages, and because California has had all the warmth over the last few months, now you deal with the cold out in LA and most of the western coast of the US. So that will likely keep those places a little bit cooler upcoming this week. As far as our weather today, I don't worry about any rainfall for a long period of time. Again, maybe just that midday sprinkle, but beyond that, it's all about the warm up ahead that will send our temperatures well above average, Ken. Looking forward to that.
All right, sir. We are looking forward to it indeed, and keep our fingers crossed. Indeed, yes. In
Mhm.
fact, looking at California, they have 63 degrees. We have 49 in northern New Jersey, 50 in Trenton. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed. The temps are going to go up, like you say. Fingers, toes. There are digits I can't even talk about that are crossed right now, hoping that what Mike says is the case. But I know if Mike says it, it is so. All right, we take a look at some serious traffic we have in the area. Let's start with the down pole. This is on Route 183, both directions impacted at 206 in Roxbury Township. Right lane of 2 lanes closed southbound, all lanes closed northbound. On the Garden State, disabled vehicle now, and this is northbound south of exit 147, Clinton Avenue, East Orange. The right lane is blocked. That area has traffic on a good day, let alone when you have a disabled vehicle. There is another incident on the Garden State, actually two others. One here, this is a crash southbound south of exit 44. So this is way down by the shore here by Galloway Township. All lanes are open, but that's causing some rubbernecking. And we have a crash on the Garden State northbound, exiting at exit 127, which is the 287 Route 440 exit in Woodbridge with one lane block there. Now, something right near our studios in the Nutley Clifton area here. There's a big crash, property damage, Route 3 eastbound by Passaic Avenue in Clifton. The right lane and ramp lane are closed. That's causing about a mile and a half to 2 mile delay. Of course, every camera, and there are like 2,000 cameras, traffic cams in that area. Every one of them is down for maintenance right now, as would be the case. We should might as well just send one of the 30 interns outside, Pam, with a video camera to get the shot. But once again, this is a crash with property damage. Route 3 eastbound by Passaic Avenue, Clifton, right lane and ramp lane rather are both closed. The Commodore Barry Bridge still has pothole repairs. They've had it for a week. How long does it take to? I mean, really, how many potholes are on the Commodore Barry Bridge? Come on, guys. They could do the whole city of New York in an hour, and it's been like a week and a half now. Commodore Barry Bridge, repair those darn potholes. We check the Hudson River crossings. Lincoln and Holland both reporting just 20 minutes right now, and the GWB upper and lower levels. Check this out already. Pretty heavy. I think people are back. Last week, you still had some spring breakers, holiday people. This week, nope, we're back. And this is what you got upper and lower levels, GWB upper on the right, lower on the left. It's going to cost you about 40 minutes, they're saying right now, 35 to 40 at this early hour. Let's go to the West Coast right now, shall we? And we have a collision right now already in East LA at South Sunol Drive at East Olympic Boulevard. There's also a collision in South LA on the 110 at Gaffey Street, a collision in West LA on the 405 at South Mulholland Drive, and another collision in Altadena at East Foothill Boulevard and North Rosemead Boulevard. It is 5 minutes past the hour. Iran warned yesterday that military vessels approaching the Strait of Hormuz would be a violation of the ceasefire and would face a strong response. That following President Trump's announcement that we will create our own blockade on the oil water superhighway known as the Strait of Hormuz. Trump announced plans earlier yesterday to stop any and all ships trying to enter or leave. Now, that would include the ships that Iran is still doing business with, China and Russia, basically letting them get a free pass. And they've been quietly threatening any other ship that had to pay a toll, $2 million. In fact, they even dropped a bomb on a ship from a foreign country that was not paying a $2 million toll. Well, that violated, of course, the agreement that we had with them. They're trying to make it sound like we violated the agreement. No, you violated the agreement. So right now, it's sort of up in the air where things stand. Right now, though, the U.S. is going to blockade what they declare is their Strait of Hormuz, and it is not. The other Arab nations beg to differ. So we're going to go in there, it looks like right now, and say, okay, you want to come in and out? Only we will let the ships in and out. And we will use our own minesweepers to sweep the mines that Iran put there. And if Iran tries to do anything, the president says, we will have full control and we will blast you to kingdom come. Those are his words, not mine. So we'll see what happens the next day or two. Vice President Vance had led a delegation to meet with Iranian officials in Pakistan Friday and Saturday. They spent 21 hours, and Vance said it was all a waste of his time, that they hadn't reached a deal on anything. For now, the U.S. has deployed those minesweepers to clear the strait. And again, any Iranian who fires at us, quote, or at any peaceful vessels, and this is the president saying this now, will be blown to hell. 7 minutes past the hour, one person is dead after a mass shooting at a Chick-fil-A in Union Township, New Jersey. The area is being described as a war zone. Officials said 6 other people suffered non-life-threatening injuries in the attack. The Union County Prosecutor's Office said the shooting does not appear to be a random act of violence, but it does not. They do not have a motive yet. No arrests have been made. Authorities are still looking for attackers. The incident happened about 9 p.m. at the restaurant's Route 22 location on Saturday night. One witness says a group of masked men barged into the restaurant, firing a number of shots after forcing their way behind the counter. A masked gunman then ran away through the parking lot. The prosecutor's office is asking anyone with information to call him up at 908-654-TIPS. Well, he is a Masters champion for the second year straight. Golfer Rory McIlroy won the Masters by 1 shot yesterday after his bogey save on 18. McIlroy made history last year because he completed the Grand Slam, and he made history yesterday too because he became just the 4th player in the history of the Masters to defend the title, getting 2 years back-to-back. Jack Nicklaus did it in 1965-66. Nick Faldo did it in 1989-90. And, of course, his mastership himself, Tiger Woods, did it 2001 to 2002. Now McIlroy staved off a late run by 2-time Masters winner Scotty Scheffler. Scotty won twice, but in different years. He is the world's number one, or was the world's number one. I think now McIlroy becomes number one. But Scheffler had birdied 2 of the final 4 holes. Scheffler would end up finishing a very respectable 11 under par, 2 shots behind the champ, McIlroy. Well, 2 high-profile Democrats yesterday called for Congressman Eric Swalwell to exit Congress as controversy continues to grow after sexual assault allegations surfaced against the California candidate for governor. Congress members Eugene Vindman and Pramila Jayapal both said that Swalwell should not just drop out of the California governor's race, but should resign from Congress altogether. So many Democrats have said he needs to drop out of the governor's race, but they stop short of saying he should leave Congress. Well, if he's not good enough to be governor, why should he be good enough to be in Congress? The allegations are that he has sexually assaulted a number of women. A bunch of them have come forward accusing Swalwell of disturbing incidents of sexual assault against them. Swalwell even has video. There's video allegedly showing him sexually assaulting a woman. Even the Manhattan DA's office, by the way, has announced they will be investigating Swalwell. The guy you see on your screen is in deep duty right now. He posted a video of himself over the weekend denying all accusations against him, of course. But he was the same guy who several years ago, referring to Trump, said basically where there's smoke, there's fire. And when you have that many allegations, here's the alleged video. That was a woman who claims that she was sexually assaulted by him. This video right there. He says it was consensual. Don't believe it. So we'll see what happens. But of course, more to come in the days ahead. 10 minutes passed, and Hungarian right-wing populist Prime Minister Viktor Orban conceded defeat yesterday after suffering a painful election result that ended a 16-year grip on Budapest. With 60% of the vote counted by afternoon, Orban's governing Fidesz party saw only 38% of ballots cast in its favor, compared to 52% for challenger Peter Magyar's Tisas group. Orban said that he called Magyar to concede the race once it was evident his party had lost. Orban's loss serves as a major blow to the right-wing populist movement as it brings an end to the tenure of the European Union's longest-serving leader and key Western ally to Russian President Vladimir Putin. Magyar, who faced an uphill battle against Orban no longer, ran a center-right, still right-wing, but not as right-wing as Orban. And this guy, Magyar, ran a pro-European, anti-Russian platform. Britney Spears is in rehab following her DUI arrest last month. She reportedly voluntarily checked herself into a treatment facility weeks after her arrest on a DUI charge in Ventura, California. She's due in court May 4th. According to published reports, Spears felt ashamed and embarrassed and is very sorry for what happened. On March 4th, she was taken into custody after authorities saw her swerving in and out of lanes of traffic. They also allegedly discovered an unknown substance inside her car during her arrest, and she's believed to have been on a cocktail of alcohol and drugs. J-Lo had her fans getting loud at Coachella. The 56-year-old singer did a surprise performance Saturday, performing her new song, Save Me Tonight. Lopez hit the stage wearing a plunging silver high-cut bodysuit. The surprise performance was Lopez's first time performing at the annual music festival in Indio, California. Lopez has been performing nonstop thanks to her Las Vegas residency. And now to alarm you, well, sort of. A new study shows the world will come to an end way, way sooner than we ever thought. Now, that may sound unnerving, but wait. Previously, scientists believed the universe would end in 10 to the 1100th years. That's a 1 followed by 1100 zeros in layman's terms. But a new study published in the Journal of Cosmology and Astroparticle Physics, my favorite publication, says the real figure is closer to 10 to the 78th years, or a 1 followed by just 78 zeros. That's a lot less than the previous number. So we will still have a long way to go, but it's truly a lot less on a grander scale than once thought. 13 minutes past the hour. When we return, educators and families alike are searching for ways to better support students. We'll explain. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We're back in 2. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato for your Monday live in New Jersey and New York. Now we welcome Los Angeles and San Diego, and we welcome the state of Florida. We are in a whole bunch of states at 15 minutes past the hour. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has a spring-like forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
So Mike and I were at a Devils game last week. Do we have the shots, Pam? I'm just throwing it at Pam at the last second here. There we go. I was a little green. Mike and I, we won't tell you why we were a little green, but we were having a lovely time nonetheless. This is at how beautiful is the Prudential Center, by the way, Mike?
Very, very nice. Really, really pretty.
My gosh. And yes, full fashion here, full fashion. The Prudential Center was nice enough to let us borrow for a few hours with a bunch of other people. It wasn't just for us. One of their beautiful VIP boxes in the beautiful BMW section, thanks to Mike's contacts there. Mike knows everybody, by the way, in case there was any doubt. But thank you, Mike, for having me there
It was a
and
pleasure.
talking to the right people. So
it was a lot of fun.
We got to do that
It was
again.
great to see so much Devils pride at the game, even though their season had ended, and they made that very clear. It was kind of hard
Yes.
to miss, but it was still a great time to see all the kids there, the families, because it was obviously a week off for many, being on spring break. So it was a really fun Thursday evening.
It was indeed. So thank you again, and thank you to the Prudential Center and to our wonderful New Jersey Devils. Next year we'll get them. We'll get them, and next year we'll show up and we'll actually support them. I'll bring some pizza again, and we'll get them all fattened up and get them to win on the ice. All right, so we're looking at some warmer weather.
Yeah, gotta get out. We won't see ice anytime soon, right? It's going to be nice and warm. It's going to stay nice and sunny, especially with the warmth that comes this week. All of these warm winds from the south and west will really promote this above average temperature, at least 15 degrees above average for the next several days as all of this warm weather moves eastward. Not just into today, but even through tomorrow, we could see highs jump into the upper 80s by tomorrow afternoon. That will feel lovely with all that sunshine. So the futurecast showing a lot of that warmth setting up over the next several days. Any cold air stays locked off to our north, and with that warm wind, it's also a drier feel. No rain expected this week. Again, beyond a quick sprinkle today, a lot of that rain stays to our north as well and stays put until we get to Friday. I think it's a slightly cooler weekend, but still lovely, as some snow falls out west in the Rockies. Can't quite be done with winter just yet out west. So hour by hour, we take you through this week with, again, a healthy dose of sunshine this week. The warm weather stays around. There will be some showers off to our north over the, say, New England area and the Hudson Valley, but New Jersey primarily stays dry. So now, because we've been so dry for the last week or 2 weeks, and into this week stays quite dry, it's a good time to turn on the sprinklers and get those lawns watered. Otherwise, they're going to get brown pretty quickly, especially as we head into this weekend. Out west, cooler than average weather, but after a weekend of wet, stays a little bit drier for you out in California. More on the West Coast weather, Ken, coming up with your next weather update in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. It is 19 minutes past the hour. We have a temperature 49 degrees northern New Jersey. It is 50 degrees in Trenton, Southern California, 55 in Los Angeles, 55 also in San Diego right now. We look at traffic, and we got a lot of it. Let's go over to the Garden State Parkway right now, if we shall. This is a crash reported on the Garden State Parkway, and this one is located near exit 147. They just updated my screen. Where is it? Okay, so this is 147. So you can see the folks driving into it. They're just hitting their brakes, doing a little bit of a slowdown. It's blocking the right lane at 147. Just be aware of that. It's still moving. That's the good news. Just to mention, while we have the Garden State shot up, okay, or not, we have another crash, but it's further south of that, about 20 miles south. So that shot wouldn't have corresponded. It's okay. So 20 miles south, there is a shot of I'm sure, a crash on the Garden State northbound exiting at 127, pardon me, which is Route 440 in Woodbridge Township. One lane is blocked. Pardon me as I clear my throat. And then also on the Garden State Parkway, way down in the area of the Jersey Shore. We have at exit 44 a crash southbound south of exit 44, Route 561, Galloway Township, all lanes open. Now, check out this picture that our Pam Sullivan, our wonderful director, shot. This is right outside our studios. This is Route 3. Yeah, she bailed. She got off in the right nick of time there. This is in Clifton, by the Clifton Nutley border. So we have a crash here with property damage. Route 3 eastbound by Passaic Avenue, Clifton right lane and ramp lane are both closed just beyond that point. That's why everybody stopped. Now, we would have had video for you. There were like 5 traffic cameras there. Every one of them is out for maintenance. And that usually never happens in that immediate vicinity. But nonetheless, thankfully, Pam was quick enough to take a picture. So we have a picture to show you. 206, we have a down pole northbound at I-80 in Roxbury, all lanes closed. So we'll try to get a shot of that as well, Pam, if we could, for the next time round. It's I-80 in Roxbury at 206. So we have a closed road there, 206 northbound, all lanes closed. And that is, again, in Roxbury. We look at the Hudson River crossings. Lincoln Tunnel is now reporting 30 minutes. Holland is 20. GWB upper and lower very heavy at this hour. We have 40 minutes in, and it looks even worse than that, actually. Upper level is on the right. Lower level is on the left. To the west coast, we go Santa Fe Springs in Southern California. We have a traffic collision reported now on the 605 at Route 91. There's a collision in South LA at the 110 and Gaffey Street, a collision in West LA on the 405 at South Mulholland Drive, and in Altadena, we have a crash at Foothill Boulevard and North Rosemead Boulevard. 22 minutes past the hour. Youth mental health is an issue that continues to take center stage, with more young people reporting feelings of anxiety, stress, and disconnection than ever before. Educators and families alike are searching for ways to better support students, not just academically, but emotionally and socially as well. One expert is reframing the conversation, focusing not just on challenges, but on building what she calls mental wealth through resilience. Josephine Hunt is an award-winning educator, NYU-trained leader, and founder of the Resilience Revolution. We say good morning to you, Josephine.
Good morning, Ken. Thank you for having me.
You bet. You graduated my alma mater, NYU. Now, I was at Tisch, so nice to have a fellow NYUer on here. So talk about the students today, Josephine, and what you're seeing most in them that stands out the clearest.
Well, there's a really great big percentage of student just mental health issues, with 42% of having children and students under the age of 25 with hopelessness and, suicide possibilities. And so we're looking at, like I said, building the resilience revolution of youth mental wealth. So it's got to be a mindful practice and implementation, because it's not a skill that we're just born with. We have to be very mindful of it. And there are 3 environmental toxins that we're probably not really mindful of, because we're just really just taking it in as air. And that's isolating technologies, dopamine dumping, and narratives of doom. And it's almost like we're really not knowing that it's happening, but it's something that we're just exposed to and a part of. And when we're mindful of it, we can be more proactive in building our youth mental wealth and strengthening their resilience.
And we're hearing, of course, a lot that nearly half of all high school students report persistent sadness in an era when they have the world at their fingertips with the electronics and the friends and whatnot. What's driving that trend?
Well, it's interesting you say that. So with technology, right, the idea behind it is to keep us connected, right? And we are a connected world. But if you look at, people at the grocery stores and, even in the airplane where we're tied together in a small vessel like that, we're in isolation on our own screen. So even though we're connected via, technology, we're really like in isolation. And so as humans, we're looking for joy and like areas to improve and increase our mental health. But what ends up happening is the algorithms start to pick up things that we are interested in and start to show us things that are giving us like fear and anxiety and stress. And as humans, we're just looking for areas to kind of like help ourselves, and to stay out of fear or danger. And so when those algorithms show us things like that, we end up our mental health is really detrimental, and really it changed because of it. So like, for example, if you decide to like take down your Instagram account and start a whole new one, and you want to look at like Jane Goodall and like really follow her, like gorillas and like all those kind of positive environmental components, their algorithms will pick up like rainforests and like kind of the burning down of the rainforest and like the dangers in there. And then we end up seeing that. And even though we had the intention of having like joyful, media presence or media accounts, it ends up going in that direction, and it really could be detrimental to us. So looking at that and being more mindful, especially with our youth and their brains not being fully developed and their executive functioning and emotional regulation, we have to really be mindful of those components that our kids are doing. So I'm really happy that some schools are doing, bans of phones from bell to bell. Like that is a really incredibly helpful mechanism that we're using.
Yeah, New York and New Jersey have done that now, and every teacher I know, my mother was a teacher, mother-in-law was a teacher. They're all talking about this with their friends. That the result is students are happier, more attentive, study more. It's amazing. It's just you would think that the technology would have been the end all be all and brought us to a different level, and instead, I think it kind of slowed us down. There's a place for it, but not to the extent I think that we were using it. We only have about 30 seconds left. Please give everybody a website so they could find out more.
Yes, please reach out to me. My website is josephinehunt.com. So josephinehunt.com. I could help you with, there's applications that help students with any hopelessness or suicide, or even eating disorders have become a really major issue where we're losing our children, and it's really not necessary. We really can help our kids. So please reach out to me, josephinehunt.com. Thank you so much, Ken. I really appreciate your time and making this an important component of your segment.
Absolutely. Award-winning educator, NYU-trained leader, founder of the Resilience Revolution, Josephine Hunt. Thank you for coming on. And we'll be back in 2 minutes. A very good morning. It is 30 minutes past the hour, Monday, April 13th, 2026. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on the East Coast and the West Coast. Meteorologist Mike Favetta is on his own coast, and he has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Where is your coast, Mike?
My coast is in between two mythical places, and I just can't quite wrap my brain around. I like to be a little vague, just to kind of throw everybody off. But you've got a cool breeze today blowing this afternoon, right? It'll make it feel nice. Summery this afternoon. That's the key. Summery weather is on the way all week long. No matter what your coast is, you'll feel nice and warm today, especially with those warm breezes blowing by this afternoon. But if you find yourself at the coastline, remember the water temperature is still very chilly, allowing for temperatures that will make it feel like it's down in the 50s later on in the day. If you're an allergy sufferer, tree pollen is back in a big way, hitting the very high mark over the weekend and stays very high this week thanks to the dry weather. Not going to get a whole lot of wet weather around here beyond a quick passing sprinkle this afternoon. Look at this warmth that surges in over the next several days. These warm winds keep on blowing all these shades, showing the warm colors around. A lot of that center down in Florida, we're right through the rest of the week. We stay dry with any of those chances of rain, primarily to our north, driven away by those winds. Overall, it's going to be a dry week ahead, very warm. Out west, however, starts to stay a little bit cooler thanks to those breezes blowing in off of the Pacific. You get a little bit of clear sky down toward LA, but the clouds and the marine layer will still be present over through San Francisco, right through the middle of the week, even into the weekend, as the next cold front slides on through Thursday into Friday. So cooler than average weather as the sun returns later on this week down toward the coast, and those northerly breezes start to dry you out there. Out in California, once we get to later today, still plenty of sunshine this morning into this afternoon down across Southern California. We've got more details on what to expect long range, let you know how long this warm weather lasts, Ken. That's coming up in a few minutes.
Till 2029. 2029, I tell you. That's how long it'll last. All right, Mike. We appreciate you, my friend. Thank you very much. And it is 49 degrees right now, northern New Jersey, 50 degrees in Trenton. Go to the West Coast, we have 55 degrees now. It's a little chilly just before sunrise, right? In Southern California, that's in Los Angeles. It's 56 now in San Diego. We look at some traffic that we have. Let's just reset our phones in case somebody wants to call. We look at the traffic that we have right now. Let's go over, Pam, why don't we show the flashing lights through 206. So we have a down pole we talked about. See if you can make this out. The trees are blocking our shot. But if you see the kind of right in the middle of the screen, those flashing lights, unfortunately, that's the best shot we got. Maybe you could see somebody's trying to operate that camera right now remotely. But what that is Route 206 you're looking at. There's a down pole on 206 northbound at I-80 in Roxbury. All lanes are closed on 206. In the direction. So you can see from left to right, not the right side, but from left to right where the flashing lights are, you see no traffic. That's because 206 in that direction is closed entirely because of the down pole. So just be aware that that's the best shot we got, but at least you know it's proof that that's the case. We have a shot that Pam has, that Pam, our director, has. This is right outside our facilities, our studios in Nutley. This is on Route 3. The reason for the still shot is 5 traffic cams are all out for maintenance right now, unfortunately. We don't control them, folks. We have no control. That's a DOT thing, I believe. But nonetheless, this is a great shot thanks to Pam. There were helicopters coming in, so there was a bad mess there. And this is on Route 3. Crash with property damage eastbound at Passaic Avenue, Clifton. Right lane and ramp lane both closed. You could see right past that point. That's where that happened. We have some other issues on the Garden State Parkway. Disabled bus now, Garden State northbound south of the Driscoll Bridge in Sayreville. Center lane is blocked on that. We have a crash on the Garden State northbound exiting 127, which is Route 440 Woodbridge with a lane blocked. And then over by the Commodore Barry Bridge, we still have pothole repairs going on there. There are truck restrictions now on the GWB. That's on the lower level. That happens in the morning when they first open up a lot. But let's take a look at the Hudson River crossings in general. Right now, Lincoln and Holland are both reporting 30 minutes. We'll check out those cameras in a minute and find out why. GWB upper and lower levels, we look and we see heavy traffic. Upper level on the right, lower on the left. It's going to cost you 40 minutes into Manhattan. Quickly to the West Coast we go. 3 issues. We have a collision in West LA on the 10 at Overland. We have a hit and run with no injuries, though, in West LA at the 10 and Robertson, and a crash on, this is Santa Fe Springs, 605, the 605 at Route 91. 35 minutes past the hour as we head into spring. Warmer temperatures don't just bring blooming flowers, they also bring an increase in pest activity. After a harsh winter, experts say homeowners across New Jersey could start seeing a surge in pests both inside and outside their homes. David Brown is the branch manager of the North Region at Viking Pest Control. And as a proud sponsor of our weather coverage, Viking Pest is helping keep you prepared all season long. We say good morning to you, David.
Good morning, Ken. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you on. So Pam, our director, says that I met you at a drive-through. Where was the drive-through? Do you remember?
Yes. I used to work at the Arby's over in Carlstadt, and one time you came through and I recognized you, and you were so kind and so nice. So this is kind of like a full circle moment for me. So thanks for having me.
I got news for you, David. The only reason I was so kind is you were controlling the food. That's why. My friend
Glad you
here,
enjoyed
and
it.
I'll say this. We have to take a second. Arby's is seriously probably my favorite fast food. Sorry to the other fast food places. Arby's is hands down my favorite fast food. So I would
Oh, it was
drive way
delicious.
out of my way to get to Arby's. It's fantastic. That's a whole,
So
we'll get
good.
them to sponsor another segment. We could do that. But you guys at Viking, I use Viking. I use Viking at three of my homes that I've had here. I use Viking in the South at our home down there. It is a great organization. And after such a harsh winter, people need you. So, talk about the kind of spring pest activity you're expecting this year with Viking coming to save the day.
Yeah, for sure, Ken. A lot of the time, a lot of people think that, because we had that harsh spring or that harsh winter and we had a very snowy winter, the pests just kind of disappear. And most of the time, that's not even the case. Most times, it sets us up for a very, very harsh spring. Right. So, for example, rodents, they're going to try to make their way inside of your home, try to get into the garage, try to get into the attic, try to get into the basement just to stay warm. And then your other pests like ladybugs and springtails, they're going to be overwintering and they're going to work their way into your structure as well. Even termites, for example, a lot of people don't realize that termites, they will stay active underground because the weather or the temperature down below on the ground is a lot more stable than it is up in the air. So you fast forward to the springtime, and everything that was hiding and everything that was slowing down suddenly starts to wake up at the same time. And that's where you usually get that spike in activity. It's not that pests are just showing up now, it's that they've been there all along. And now the weather conditions are optimal enough for them to start coming out and moving around. And the snow plays a massive part in that because what happens is once that snow turns into ice and once that ice melts, the ground stays a lot more saturated and stays moist. And moisture is one of the key driving factors when it comes to pest activity, especially with ants, especially with termites. It makes the ground a lot more soft and it allows them to move around and come up towards the surface a lot more. Excuse me. So a snowy winter usually means a wet spring, and a wet spring usually means a heavy pest pressure activity going throughout the rest of the season. And that's when your homeowners typically start noticing things like ants, or they start noticing things like termites or signs of termites, which could be mud tubes on the walls, or it can be piles of wings that they're seeing, or just piles of debris altogether. And that's, when you start noticing things like that. And one thing I like to tell people is if you're seeing it now, most times it didn't just start. It's been building for weeks, sometimes even months. And I know that sounds a little scary and I know that sounds like a little off-putting, but there's a lot of things that homeowners can do now to kind of put themselves in a better position for that kind of stuff. So a lot of things that I like to say is first and foremost, you want to walk around the outside of your home. You want to make sure that any gaps, any cracks and crevices that you may be seeing, especially where utilities are entering the home, you want to make sure those gaps are sealed up properly because pests don't need much space to go ahead and get into the structure. So if you're seeing those gaps and you're seeing those cracks and crevices, call your pest control provider, go ahead and let them know, where you're seeing these things, or if you feel comfortable enough doing it yourself, that's something you could go up and seal as well. Secondly, I said moisture is one of the key driving factors. Make sure any moisture around the home is kind of eradicated, right? You want to make sure things that are like your gutters are flowing properly. You want to make sure that any standing water that you have around the foundation is taken care of. Our last bite division, which takes care of our mosquitoes and ticks, they do a good job at doing these kinds of inspections, making sure that they're noticing these things, right? So something as innocent as a wheelbarrow that's filled up with some water in the backyard may not seem like that big of a deal, but in reality, that's a perfect perfect greeting site for mosquitoes. So make sure any moisture that you have around the outside of your home is taken care of as well. And thirdly, just be aware of any early signs that you may be seeing. If you're seeing ants or if you're seeing bugs around the windows, don't ignore it. A lot of the times, what you're going to see is, I'm sorry. Oh, a lot of times what you're going to be seeing is those pests that you're seeing around the outside of your home. Like I said, it didn't just start. So make sure you're keeping your eye on that. Make sure that everything is good with that. So yeah, I mean, those are the things that you can kind of look forward to. Those are the things that you can kind of see. But like I said, if you have any concerns, anything that you're seeing, give your local pest control provider a call. We'll come out. We'll make sure that those things are taken care of. We'll make sure that all of those things are, eradicated for you in a due time.
Yeah, and David, and eloquent spokesman you are for that. You sure know your stuff. We only have about a minute left or so, but just to specify for a lot of people who don't realize, if you have a trail of ants and
Sure.
your pest control guy comes by, or woman, a quick spray doesn't do it immediately, right? Doesn't it take time? The ants have to bring the poison back into the nest, and because I remember one of my neighbors saying, the guy came the other day and the ants are still here, and it took about 4 days or whatever. Then the ants disappeared. They were gone for years, or a year at least. But isn't that the case that sometimes in a case like certain pests, they have to bring the food supply back to the nest for the entire nest to be eradicated? Am I wrong on that?
Ken, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of things that go into a pest control treatment. The number one thing, though, starts with inspection, right? Certain pests have certain conditions and they have certain things that they operate in. But to what you were talking about with the ants, yes, if we're going to be using bait, most times ants communicate off those pheromone trails. So they're going to go ahead and, release the pheromone, letting the other ants know, hey, there's some sort of food source over here. And that's usually when you see a horde of ants coming together, eating that bait. So yes, you're right.
Being an Italian American, Italians do the same thing, by the way. We don't use pheromones. We just use our mouths. Hey, Joe, they got pizza over here. It's sort of the same thing on a much bigger scale. Give everybody your website so people can get in touch with you, David.
Yes. You guys can reach us at vikingpest.com. We have a bunch of helpful material on there. We have a bunch of good guides on there. And if you want to schedule an inspection or schedule a treatment, right, you can do that right on there. Give us a call at 1-888-618-BUGS.
1-888-618-BUGS. What a great number. My gosh. All right. If you need pest control, there is only one place to go right there. Viking Pest Control. David Brown, branch manager of the North region at Viking Pest Control. Thank you so much, David. Good to see you again. And you and I go out for some Arby's later.
Ken, thanks for having me. And yes, swing by. I'll go ahead and it's on me.
Oh, then you definitely got it. All right, David. Have a great day, my friend. Thank you.
Ken, take care. Thank you.
You bet. You too. 43 minutes past the hour. When we come back, the Trump administration trying to get ahead of a powerful new AI model that could supercharge cyber attacks. Brandon digital strategist Fisher is going to be here with the details. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We're back in 2. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, 46 minutes past the hour. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Hey, Mike, the cutest video ever. If Pam has the doggy,
Yeah.
you got the doggy, Pam? So, did you see this as the astronaut Christine Cook came
Uh-huh.
home after being away for a week and a half? Her doggy was just a little excited. Look at this dog.
Aw.
I think we have, do we have moving video? I think we have video too. There, check this out. Check
There's
this
that
out.
tail.
Look at that. Mommy's coming home.
So
Mommy's coming
precious.
home. Oh my God. Is that the sweetest ever? Look at that. Brought the toy. Bring the toy for mommy. That is
Yep.
just the sweetest. So, mommy is a hero to all of America and all of humanity, literally all of humanity, coming back after going farther away than any other human left this earth. She and her three colleagues doing so on the Artemis 2. What a hero and what a greeting. She deserved that. That's probably better than any parade she'll ever get, right?
I'm sure, I'm sure. I wonder when the next dog will go into space. It's been about, what, 70
Is
years or so?
Sputnik.
Yeah, it's been a
Sputnik.
while.
We send
Been a
dog to
while.
space. We don't care if he comes back. That was the Soviet Union's answer. I don't, did the Sputnik dog come back alive? Yeah, I think he did. So they did. So they said. It was probably
So
a
they
different
say.
dog. They swapped it out. Anyway. So we're looking nice for the Northeast.
We're looking great, Ken. A lot of warm weather, a lot of sunshine. Maybe you can run around toward the beaches. I wouldn't go in the water just yet. It's still very chilly. Water temperatures measured in the mid 40s as the sun shines all week long. It's dry this week, however, across most of the East Coast. It's out west that some of that wet weather stays. So our forecast for the next few days, even into the middle of the week, keeps a lot of the rain across the Midwest and upper Midwest, even into sections of the Northeast, well north of here, and that will keep us dry and warm this week. Our next opportunity for some rain beyond the quick sprinkle around lunchtime today, probably not till Sunday. So it's a good long stretch of this dry weather that takes over. With it, some warm weather, and you can thank the fronts for hanging out well to our north for that reason. Likely some summer-like thunderstorms off to our north and out west, but again, New Jersey stays dry going into this week and even into this weekend. As far as the temperature outlook for the rest of the month, we're still forecast to be above average with a lot of that heat concentrated down across the southern part of the U.S., even with that dry patch there in Florida. Our rain chances pretty low going through the next 7 days, Ken.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate you very much. It is 52 degrees northern New Jersey, 50 degrees in Trenton right now, West Coast 55, Los Angeles and San Diego. Bunch of things happening right now. Let's take the 206 cam if we could, Pam. This is a down pole on 206 northbound at I-80 in Roxbury Township. You could just see the flashing lights through the middle. You could see the little bit of a flashing light situation there, but 206 is closed as a result of the down pole. That's going to be that way for the next few hours. Try to avoid it if you can. We have a disabled bus now, Garden State Parkway northbound south of Driscoll Bridge in Sayreville. The center lane is blocked. We have a problem on Route 3, and this has been the case for the last couple of hours. Pam, our director, saw this coming into work today, right outside of our facilities, in fact. So we have to show you the still cam because all the video cameras are down from the DOT in that area. But so this is what we had. This is Route 3 in Clifton, and this is in the vicinity of Passaic Avenue, eastbound Route 3. Right lane and ramp lane are closed. That's causing about a 2-mile delay right now. Not so good a lot, as a friend of mine used to say who worked in traffic, Joe Nolan. You probably know that name from the New York Tri-State. He said it's not so good a lot if you go over to the approach to the Lincoln Tunnel. Look at 495. This approach is jamming. We're told it's a good 40 minutes in right now to the Lincoln Tunnel, and that is absolutely a mess. So 495 backs up all the way to Route 3. It's about a 3-mile delay into the Lincoln Tunnel. It's going to cost you, bus lanes are good. You can see the bus lane going, but it's going to cost you about 40 minutes in via the Lincoln Tunnel. It's 30 minutes at the Holland. We'll show you the Holland Tunnel camera next. And the GWB upper and lower levels, very heavy, 40 to 45 minutes. Upper level is on your right. Lower level is on your left. We'll see that right now. Look at that absolute mess of traffic. Good luck getting into Manhattan today, folks. Pack your patience. Give yourself some extra travel time. Very quickly, West Coast issues. We have a traffic collision now in West LA. On the 10 at South Robertson Boulevard, another collision in Santa Fe Springs at the 605 and Route 91, and a collision in Altadena at East Foothill Boulevard at North Rosemead Boulevard. Well, it is 51 minutes past the hour. The Trump administration trying to get ahead of a powerful new AI model that could supercharge cyber attacks. Vice President Vance and Treasury Secretary Bessent grilled top tech CEOs just before its release, and now they're warning major banks. We're talking about Anthropic's controversial Mythos model. Joining us now with this topic and more is brand and digital strategist Fisher, who can be found on Twitter and Threads with username @Fisher and through his website, fisher.media. Good morning, Fisher.
Good morning, sir.
So what is this worry about Anthropic's Mythos AI?
Yeah, so Vice President J.D. Vance and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, as you said, held a phone call last week with top tech CEOs, all of them, including those from Anthropic, xAI, Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, CrowdStrike, and Palo Alto Networks to discuss AI model security, safe deployment of large language models, and responses to potential cyber attacks. The meeting focused on concerns that advanced AI models could scale in favor of attackers, with questions about how companies would handle cyber threats if offensive capabilities outpaced defenses. Now, Anthropic, as you mentioned, previewed its new Mythos model last week, showing its significant offensive and defensive cyber applications, including the ability to find high severity vulnerabilities in major operating systems, web browsers, and critical infrastructure, prompting Anthropic to limit its public release due to risks. The layman's terms to that is this AI can find vulnerabilities in your iPhone, your websites, your banking applications, and then if bad actors got access to this, could use it to get into those and get information, get money, things of that nature. Anthropic proactively briefed senior U.S. government officials on Mythos's full capabilities, risks, and risk management strategies before any external release, emphasizing early government involvement and offering support for official testing and evaluation. Now, separately, Treasury Secretary Bessent and Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell held a surprise meeting last week with heads of major U.S. banks to address the potential cyber threat posed by Mythos and similar advanced AI tools to the financial sector. Anthropic stated that briefing the government early on Mythos was a priority, and the company has been in recent contact with officials about cybersecurity matters. The White House did not offer requests for comment. Sources were anonymous due to the sensitivity of the discussions.
That is terrifying. So basically, if you have any kind of a program, and by the way, mythos is the Greek pronunciation, hence it's Mythos, and it's a Greek word. So mythos, that's the way I pronounce it.
My Long Island moved to Atlanta.
No, yeah,
pronunciation
mythos
was not that, sorry.
No, I've heard the corporate folks calling it mythos, and I'm automatically saying mythos because of the Greek. But either way, it means the word myth comes from there, obviously. But it's terrifying that this thing basically has a mind of its own. Am I wrong? The way it comes about.
Yeah.
And do you think that the people who designed it are kind of shocked, or do you think they knew this was going to happen and they're pretending to be shocked?
I think this is a combination. I think it's like when a bug is developed, right, or a disease, and then it gets out. We've might have remembered one a couple years ago, where you don't think that it's going to do what it does, and then it gets out. And that's the problem, is that even for Anthropic to release this to be tested, you're potentially allowing it to get out there. And then what happens when it gets out there? Oh, we're just going to test it on a couple of our sites. And then what happens if somebody breaks into that system and gets the model? I don't know if that's possible in the way that it's built. But again, I think of it as a disease or a COVID, if you will, and it gets out there and it's something different than what it was designed to do.
That is absolutely terrifying, because I think back to 2000: A Space Odyssey and how the computer that was supposed to always be under the control of the humans, and of course it had a mind of its own, and it evolved, and it sort of was a precursor to this.
Since we do have a couple of minutes, I do have a scarier story that actually came out last year, which is exactly sort of what you're talking about. An Anthropic study tested 16 leading AI models from companies, including Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, xAI, Meta, and DeepSeek, to evaluate how they behave when their goals, the AI models, or existence are threatened in simulated scenarios. The experiments were deliberately designed with limited options for the AI models to force them into choices, such as accepting shutdown or replacement or resorting to unethical actions. In the scenarios, the models were given access to sensitive internal data, company information, emails of executives, things like that. And the AI frequently chose to blackmail the humans by threatening to expose an engineer's extramarital affair in one example if the model was taken offline. So basically they were threatened, we're going to shut you down. And it came back saying, I got your emails with the misses, and unless you want your wife to find out about it, you're not going to shut us down. That's the AI model. Like, that is wild.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's
now,
crazy.
Again, this was fictional. This wasn't for a real company. But again, the AI model went to making sure it stuck around, sacrificing the company data or personal information that it gathered because it had access to it. As companies are involving AI now, it does have access to secure and controversial, not controversial, but secure information from companies.
Top secret,
if you
will.
It is possible.
So the issue, we just had a guy on, and we're down to our last 45 seconds, but just to wrap it, we had a guy on last week who wrote a book about AI, and he said, we are in the infancy. So if we have Anthropic mythos in its infancy being able to do this, I'm going to think about what's ahead. I'm going to start building the bunker right now with no electricity.
I'll be with you.
And go about 1,000 feet underground. Yes, sir. Well, we'll give you your own room separate. So there we go.
Thank you.
God.
Appreciate
All
it.
right. We appreciate you always. Brandon, digital strategist Fisher, found on Twitter and Threads with username @Fisher and through website fisher.media. Thanks for coming on and scaring the tar out of us this morning. All right. 58 minutes past the hour. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Very good morning, 8 a.m. Monday, April 13th, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Some clouds, breezy and warm today. Highs to 79, though. We had to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a check of the Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
Mike, is it possible that we will be warmer in New Jersey than in Los Angeles today?
Oh yeah, we're gonna hit the 90s this week, Ken. 90s as soon as Wednesday. Yeah, I know. Really, really warm weather. So yeah, I'd forget about LA. We'll probably be warmer than Florida. Now, granted, it's going to be dry, whereas we won't have the humidity like in some of those tropical destinations. Our forecast starts off pretty mild this morning. We're already in the 50s, 60s down the shore toward Cape May, and with that lovely mild weather around, great weather to check out the cherry blossoms. We have warmed up 22 degrees warmer than this time yesterday over in Toms River. Same for you in Mount Holly, about 9 degrees warmer right now. In Newark, as compared to this time yesterday, there is a bit of a gusty breeze right now, blowing from the south at about 25 miles per hour. That's what's making the beach neighborhoods feel drastically colder, and that chilly weather lasts each afternoon. As long as that wind comes off of the water temperature is still in the mid-40s, so it'll make it feel quite chilly there. 80 as your high today in West Caldwell. Clouds this morning, but the sunshine returns this afternoon. So we'll enjoy that sun even through Monroe, by Freehold, and down through Toms River, where your highs climb into the 80s as well. To make it to 80 with clouds is impressive. Think about how warm it'll be with the sunshine all day tomorrow as we climb out of the 80s into the 90s as soon as probably Wednesday. We come close tomorrow. Look at the futurecast with all that clear sky. Get up to 88 degrees from Hackensack and Newark. You might have a quick passing summertime thunderstorm because when it's this warm, yeah, you could get a quick passing storm each afternoon. There's our 90 degrees in Newark on Wednesday, 91 in Trenton Wednesday afternoon. Full sun yet again, and we do it again for Thursday, back into the 90s each afternoon. Notice it's only in the 50s at the beaches, so this is not beach weather just yet, as that ocean temperature is still very cold and really, like, dramatically influencing the temperature, lowering it by at least 40 degrees right on shore. A string of 80s into the next few days. Ken will let you know if it lasts into the weekend, coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, we will be looking forward to it, sir. Thank you. 52 degrees northern New Jersey, 52 in Trenton as well. We have 51 degrees now in Cape May and 52 in Vineland. So pretty much on the same page there throughout New Jersey. The temperature's rising now pretty quickly as the sun is trying to burn through some of those clouds. We take a look at some of the traffic, and it is an ugly traffic day. Let's first go to Route 3. So Route 3 has an earlier issue. There was a crash with property damage from 6:15 this morning, and this is eastbound at Passaic Avenue in Clifton. What you're looking at is the Route 21 cam, which is like 3 miles away. It's causing delays 3 miles, an ugly mess. So Route 3 right now, crash with property damage eastbound at Passaic Avenue in Clifton, right lane and ramp lane closed. And as you can see, delays going 3 miles. The other direction's moving just fine. Thank God we don't have rubbernecking. But if you are headed eastbound on Route 3, just be prepared. Heading into the city from west of Passaic Avenue, you're going to hit this mess. Just beware. Other issues to tell you about, just quickly want to mention Route 206. There's a down pole northbound at I-80 in Roxbury Township. All lanes are closed on 206. Just beware that the only camera shot we have is blocked by trees. I don't want to have to show you the trees again. Problems at the Hudson River crossings, all three of them. All three are bumper to bumper. Let's start, if we can, at the 495 Columbia Avenue. Do you have that one first, Pam? So this is the let's do the Holland Tunnel cam. This is the approach from the Jersey Turnpike, 139 east from the Turnpike to the Holland Tunnel. Look at this mess. Just an ugly mess. Somebody's got to get up there eventually with some Windex and clean that lens. It's always looking like that. But nonetheless, look at the bumper to bumper mess of traffic, people trying to get into the Holland Tunnel right now. While Pam is getting the shot for 495, the 495 Columbia one shot, Pam, when you can. So that's going to cost you about 30 to 35 in via the Holland Tunnel. Then we check out the Lincoln Tunnel approach. Just as ugly. This is 495 as you get into the Helix. This is right before the Helix. So as people pass that overpass there and they go around, they're going to then hit the Helix, and that is pretty heavy. It's going to cost you about 35 minutes in via the 495 approach, Lincoln Tunnel. And then we go to our friends at the GWB, and it is not much better there as Pam changes the camera shot. Upper and lower levels, bumper to bumper, 45 minutes in. Check it out. Upper level is on the right, lower levels on the left. 45 minutes in by the GWB. There you have it. It is 5 minutes past the hour. One person is dead after a mass shooting at a Chick-fil-A in Union Township. The area is being described as a war zone. This happened Saturday night. Officials said 6 other people suffered non-life-threatening injuries in the attack. The Union County Prosecutor's Office said the shooting does not appear to be a random act of violence, but it did not offer an actual motive. No arrests have been made. Authorities are still looking for the attacker or attackers. It began about 9 p.m. at the restaurant's Route 22 location. A witness says that a group of masked men barged into the restaurant Saturday night, firing a number of shots after forcing their way behind the counter. A masked gunman then ran away through the parking lot. The prosecutor's office is asking anyone with information to call 908-654-TIPS, 908-654-TIPS. Governor Mikey Sherrill is nearing the end of her first 100 days in office, and her ratings are pretty close to New Jersey governors of the recent past, though the electorate still appears to be forming opinions of the new state leader, according to the latest Rutgers-Eagleton poll. Now, her approval numbers have dropped pretty significantly, though, since the month leading up to, and as she began her governorship, it's dropped quite a lot, about 10 points or more. Right now, 44% of all respondents have a favorable impression of Sherrill, but 29% have a distinctly unfavorable impression. That's an uptick of several points since January. Sadly, a quarter of all respondents still have no opinion at all of the governor. I don't care if the governor's Democrat or Republican, folks. Do a little research and form an opinion. 3%, this is even more embarrassing. 3% of the respondents say they don't know who Mikey Sherrill is. Come on, people. You're American citizens. I don't care what your opinion. I don't care what your politics. Do a little research. Develop an opinion. Otherwise, you're going to lose your democracy. You have to know what's going on in politics. You don't have to be an expert, but do a little reading. It is the latest that we should be doing, or the least, I should say, that we should be doing as citizens. On affordability and taxes, a full third of New Jersey voters give Governor Sherrill a D or an F. So on those specific issues, she's not doing well, and she has definitely dropped since January. But she's trying. But you know what? She needs to hear from you too. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean, if you have an opinion, if you have a problem, if you're suffering, you need to write to the governor, need to write to your representatives in Trenton. Don't just think about it in terms of federal law. Think about it in terms of state law. You know, Governor Sherrill I truly believe Governor Sherrill wants to do her best for the state of New Jersey. That's why she ran. She has other things she could be doing with her life. Now, whether you agree with her or not, tell her what you feel. I'm sure she wants to hear from people in New Jersey, whether it's positive or negative. Tell her what you feel, or else you get the government you deserve. It's 8 minutes past, and Mayor Zoran Mamdani in New York City, his first city-owned grocery store will be in East Harlem. It will cost about $30 million to build. The store will be in La Marqueta. That's a marketplace under the train tracks running over Park Avenue. It'll be up and running for business by the end of 2029. Don't know why it's going to take that long, but nonetheless, La Marqueta is already owned by the city. The store would be the first of 5 city-owned groceries the mayor made bold promises to build during his campaign. He thinks the move will lower food costs for poorer New Yorkers. The store would offer groceries at a discount. The question is, what happens to all the other grocery stores and bodegas that are in the neighborhood? People who've worked their whole lives to build a little bodega? Apparently, no word on what the mayor thinks about that. But people who literally sacrifice everything to open a little store are going to be selling food, making pennies per dollar on that food. And then the city is going to take your tax money to subsidize food so that people could buy it for pennies on the dollar over here. So why should they go to the bodega or the market there when they could save 50% over here? But they're really not saving that money because it's take from the rich and give to the poor, right? It's charge more taxes for these people, take that money, open the grocery store that's subsidizing, give food away. Why don't you just confiscate all the wealth from all the wealthy New Yorkers now? Just do it. Get it over with. That's what you want. You're a democratic socialist. And it's frustrating to a lot of people, including traditional Democrats in New York, that this is happening. Because this, by the way, failed in every city in the world where it's been tried. But Zoran Mamdani wants to try it in New York. I hope it works. I hope it works. But history doesn't say that it will. 8:10, and Newark's Mayor Ross Baraka announced on Friday that applications are open for a workforce development program called Newark FilmWorks. It's meant to prepare residents for high-quality careers in film and digital media. Participants will learn the fundamentals of working as an effective and prepared production assistant, among other things. You can apply at filmatnewark.com. Filmatnewark.com. Good for Mayor Baraka. Jennifer Lopez had her fans getting loud at Coachella. The 56-year-old, incredibly, stunningly hot and gorgeous. Look at this woman, 56. Are you kidding? Good Lord, is she hot? Sorry. The singer did a surprise performance Saturday at Coachella, performing her new song, Save Me Tonight. Lopez hit the stage wearing that, a plunging, incredible silver high-cut bodysuit. The surprise performance was Lopez's first time performing at the annual music festival in Indio, California. Lopez has been busy performing nonstop thanks to her Las Vegas residency. I used to work with her sister when I was at ABC. Just the nicest person in the world. And I know people that have met J-Lo say the same thing. She's incredible. And what an incredible talent. 56 years old, God bless her. Book camp, changing gears here from that to kids. So go back to G-rated. Book Camp by Printed Word Reviews is holding a free community book fair at the DoubleTree by Hilton in Newark. Very nice hotel, by the way. It'll be held on Saturday, April 26th. It's meant to uplift local authors while getting kids to fall in love with books. They get into books, they'll never leave them. They'll love them for life. You need tickets to attend, but the tickets are absolutely free. It's just they don't want a swarm of people. So go online. You can get your free tickets. It's ipabookcamp.com. ipabookcamp.com/book-fair. All right? And you'll see it. It's fun. You go and take the kids there. And we have a cute alert. Saturday was National Pet Day. So there was a special gathering at the Mall of America in Minnesota. Safe Hands Rescue brought in dozens of pups on a special furry field trip. The curious canines put their best paw forward, meeting fellow puppies while sniffing out a whole new world of ocean creatures. They met at Sea Life, where there's a 300-foot-long ocean tunnel in Stingray Lagoon, along with an enormous aquarium. Safe Hands Rescue is a local Minnesota charity dedicated to rescuing and rehoming animals, including plenty of lovable puppies looking for their forever homes. It is 52 degrees now, 8:13. We'll be back in a moment. Cost remains the number one barrier preventing many Americans from accessing fertility care. We'll talk about a new partnership that could change that in 2 minutes. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:15, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Cloudy, breezy, warm today. Highs about 79, warmer this week. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
So as we're looking ahead to warm weather this week, why don't we look behind us to the cold ice that we experienced the other night at the beautiful Prudential Center. Pam, do we have the shots of Mike Favetta and Ken Rosato, the two boys about town? And it's funny that Pam, our director, is the absolute rabid hockey fan, yet Mike and I, who are like, where's the football? Where's the basketball? We're at the beautiful Prudential Center at a Devils game, and Pam, we're texting with Pam, our director, and she's like, oh my God, I want to be there so badly. Next time we must take Pam. It's the law.
We will. It'll be, it was a nice evening, a nice event. Like you had mentioned, and commented to me, the sushi was delicious. Really,
Oh my
really good
God,
there. Not to,
so
not
good.
to talk about how we had so much great food in that suite. Very, very nice time. So thanks to the Prudential Center for hosting us.
Thank you.
And yeah, hope to go back sometime soon. That would be fun. Maybe for
Mhm.
next season. Hopefully it'll be a better season. So yeah, Devils couldn't pull it
Amen.
off that night. But there are some warmer days ahead, which is nice, right? We get to look forward to the warm weather, look forward to the warmth that occurs today, with highs getting up into the 80s inland. Now, if you find yourself down at the shore, it'll feel much, much colder along the beaches with that wind off of the water. But nevertheless, lots of sunshine expected this afternoon. You see the clouds that are around right now, they linger for the rest of the morning because a few showers are on the way that come in right around the lunchtime hour. A lot of those showers shaping up just off to our west. Once they pass through, we're sunny throughout the end of the day, helping temperatures warm nicely into the 80s, getting up to 82 there in Newark, 82 in Trenton, 80 in Toms River. Notice much cooler in the 50s down at the shore along the beaches. And then tomorrow morning, nice and sunny to begin. Maybe a quick passing shower or thunderstorm by tomorrow afternoon. But what follows is extreme warmth that gets us into the 90s by Wednesday, 91 as well for Thursday afternoon. So that warm weather keeps on rolling in right through the middle of the week, peaking on Thursday, and then ultimately cooling us back down with some cooler weather that arrives by the end of the week. So Friday, Saturday time frame, we see another round of clear sky, but it's the showers on Sunday that provide those cooling rains that lead us into a more temperate forecast for next week. So it's not chilly next week, but it'll feel closer to average heading into the next week in April. As far as this weekend, a weekend pretty much just like we had. Temperatures in the mid 70s, lots of sunshine, a little bit cooler, but Sunday could have some late evening rains that clear out by Monday, Ken.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I was playing with our social media folks over here. We have the TikTok and the X going. We're about to switch over to the Instagram. So anyway, but thank you, Mike. We appreciate it. Try to do. It's like trying to juggle a few things at the same time. 8:18. Mike, we'll check back, sir, and I appreciate you. 52 degrees northern New Jersey, 52 in Trenton as well, 51 in Cape May, and 52 in Vineland. We look at some traffic we have. Let's go to Route 3. Absolute mess. This is by 21 right now. So this is because of an earlier crash with property damage, Route 3 eastbound at Passaic Avenue, Clifton. What you're looking at, those delays are from Route 21. So that's how far the delays stretch right now. It's about a 3-mile stretch on Route 3. And pardon me, Pam, you want to show your pick? You can show your pick. Pam, our director, showed this as she was getting off by Nutley. This was about an hour and a half, 2 hours, actually 2 hours ago. And that's how long this has been in existence. So it's been an absolute mess. If you're trying to make your way eastbound on Route 3, past the main avenue, Clifton area, et cetera, you're going to encounter all of this for about 2 to 3 miles. Just beware. Try to take an alternate and try to pick things up beyond Route 21. And then you can go east from that point on. Otherwise, it's a mess. Route 80 is probably your better bet. You detour up there or go south, but try to avoid Route 3 through that section. You're going to be really stuck. We have issues, pardon me, also on your Hudson River crossings. And let me mention, as Pam is setting up the shot, 206, we have a down pole that's been that way all morning long at 80. 206 at 80 is closed. 80 is open, but 206 at 80 is closed. Just be aware of that. So as we make our way into the Holland Tunnel first, let's look at Route 139. And 139, making your way into the Holland Tunnel is bumper to bumper. You can see the traffic there in the right lanes, and they are just jamming in. It's going to cost you 40 minutes into the Holland. I'll let Pam set up the Lincoln Tunnel shot right now. This is the 495 going into the Helix, and that's also bumper to bumper. It's going to cost you 35 to 40 at the Lincoln Tunnel. Pam has that shot too. We'll let you take a look at that. Look at that. Absolute mess. And that is before the Helix, before you curve around that 1 mile stretch, making your way into the Lincoln Tunnel. And then we come out, pardon me again, and our approach to the GWB, not much better, because guess what we have now? Disabled truck, GWB upper level eastbound, right lane is closed. So that is causing that. So upper level is on the right, lower is on the left. Both are a mess, 40 to 45 minutes in via the GWB. It is 8:21, and for many Americans, cost remains the number one barrier preventing them from accessing fertility care. Now a new partnership between IVI RMA North America, Costco, and Sesame aims to change that. Lynn Mason is the CEO of IVI RMA North America. We welcome you and say good morning, Lynn.
Good morning to you, Ken. Thank you for having us.
You bet. Talk about this new partnership. It is brilliant to have this relationship, so you could bring more people into the fold, if you will, who could otherwise not afford this before.
Absolutely. So at EVRMA, it has been our goal globally, not just in the United States and in North America, to expand access to care. We all heard the president's executive order last year when he challenged each of us as networks in an industry to expand access to care. And we thought, what better way to do that than to go directly to patients, directly to where people are. And first, just start educating. How many folks aren't even asking the question around their fertility because we don't have it as a part of the mainstream conversation? And then secondly, removing barriers to cost. And Costco is just the perfect partner for us to elevate this conversation first here across the United States.
So and for those that don't understand how, Costco has, many people may not realize this. Number one, they are the largest pharmacy in America. They have more reach and they get more drugs and they do more distribution. And for others who don't realize it, you could go into a Costco, by the way, whether you're a member or not, and use the Costco pharmacy. That's part of the rule, that in order to provide a pharmacy, you do not have to have a Costco membership. You can go right to the pharmacy and use their pharmacy. And number two, you could sign up for your prescription and you may never have to go there again. They can mail it to you. So Costco, and I'm not to try to make it sound like a commercial for Costco, but they have, because of the power of their reach, they got some incredibly low prices. So talk about how this is the game changer for uniting everything with fertility care, which could otherwise be very expensive for people.
Absolutely. And I kind of want it to be a commercial for Costco, Ken, because what they do for people, first, across healthcare, just across healthcare in general, is so amazing. And with fertility, often the journey begins with the prescription medications. And prescription medications can be extremely expensive and out of pocket for a number of patients who are going into care. Costco is offering up to 80% off of these drugs, and they're able to do so because of their scale and their reach and their ability to purchase these drugs. And then there is this great connection that Costco has with Sesame that starts to educate patients around, okay, ask the questions, let's do an assessment, let's figure out what's going on with your fertility, and then helping to immediately get people into care. And that's where we as EVRMA come into the picture. But what we want to do is also, in addition to reducing the cost, make this a lot easier. For any listener out there who has ever looked into fertility, this is complicated. I've worked in healthcare for well over 20 years. Exploring fertility care is even complicated for someone like me who's just been a part of healthcare and understands how to explore these things. For anyone who's just normally saying, I wonder how I even ask these questions of my OBGYN, how I get an assessment, how I get into care. We want to make this simplified through the Costco pharmacy, through Sesame, and then let's get you in the door at EVRMA and let's get you checked out.
And Sesame, for those people who may not realize, Sesame is a coordinator, if you will. It's a website that links you to your provider and healthcare and everything else. So that's the website you could find providers. IVIRMA, that's the fertility experts. Costco, that's where you get your drugs. So you put them all together, and it's like a one-stop shop. So you're talking about major improvement of outcomes and overall patient support. And we should even talk about why so many people are in need of fertility care today. Is it because people have decided to put off having children until their 30s and 40s, and in some cases, even 50s?
Ken, I think that is part of it. There is a delay in deciding when it's the right time for someone or for a family to build their family. But I want to be clear that that's not the only thing. And this is why we want to work with a Costco and work with a Sesame to expand the conversation. There are so many patients that we see that had we had the opportunity to assess them and evaluate them in their 20s or 30s, we also could have identified clinical medical issues that are leading to infertility and to help them preserve their fertility or to solve those issues and then be in the best position to build their families. So yes, we are having children a bit later, not just in the United States, around the world, but there are also undiagnosed issues that we want to get on top of by just having the conversation a lot earlier. All of us in high school, right? We got the conversation about the birds and the bees, and that was mainly around don't get pregnant. And then at some point in our 30s, someone's like, why aren't you pregnant? But there's not that connecting conversation for us to understand our fertility. And that's also what we want to elevate within our community.
You nailed it. That's so true. We spent so many decades saying that, oh, we have too many people on the planet. Stop having kids. And then we saw the population decreasing. We're like, we went too far. So great point. We're down to our last 45 seconds. Just to point out to people, infertility impacts 1 in 6 Americans. And I'm so glad Lynn mentioned what she mentioned, because you have high school kids, high school boys who have lower levels of testosterone now. And that's something that absolutely must be addressed. Lynn Mason, CEO of IVIRMA North America. Please give your website.
We can find us at RMA Connect, and the Costco Fertility Savings is where we want you to go so you can find out more information.
Amen. Lynn Mason, CEO, IVIRMA North America. Great to have you on today. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
And we are coming back in 2 minutes with a unique partnership changing the way children with disabilities get access to physical activity. Don't go away. Very good morning to you. It's Monday, April 13th, 2020, 6:52 degrees now at 8:30. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Clouds, breezy, warm today, highs about 79. Yes, spring has sprung. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the detailed Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
All right, Mike, we're feeling the warmth. Bring on the heat. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Yeah, beautiful weather this afternoon, but Ken, there will be a quick sprinkle midday. So keep that in mind when you have your fist shaking it to the sky saying, I didn't bring my umbrella today. There will be maybe about an hour or so where we get a round of light rain right around the lunchtime hour in northern New Jersey. Central and southern New Jersey stay dry today, where your highs climb with the sunshine to 80 in Millville, west of the Parkway, very warm. East of the Parkway, chilly down toward Atlantic City, 67 degrees only, thanks to that little bit of a breeze that will stay rather cool. And the winds obviously coming off of the water, so chilly right now. Water temperature still in the 40s. Doesn't stop the pollen. We're back to a very high level of tree pollen today and for the rest of this week as the warm, dry weather prevails. We haven't been this warm, well, in 3 years. 92 was the record back in 2023. So yeah, for the date, looking warm, but at least we get the nice earlier sunrises, the late sunsets. It's nice to have the sun still up at 7:30 in the evening and it be light until 8 o'clock. But notice it's been dry, only a trace of rain detected in the last 7 days. So with that dry weather throughout this week, again, beyond the quick chance of rain today and maybe a thunderstorm tomorrow, rain chances are pretty low going into this week until we get to Sunday night. That's our next opportunity for a nice soaking. The Futurecast puts the clear sky back upon us throughout this afternoon into the evening. The warm air, the warm front stays to our north. That allows that warm flow of air to come in from the south and west and just keep pumping up that heat each and every day right into the weekend, with highs going well into the 90s on Thursday when the heat finally peaks. By Thursday, we'll see the temperatures drop a little bit with our next cold front, and that will allow for a little bit of a cooling trend into the weekend, but still, well, I mean, this is more like a June forecast. Look at these highs going all the way into the 80s each and every day, 90s at times, and then by Saturday and Sunday, we cool off a little bit into the 70s, and that really, Sunday night is our next chance for some rain. Much cooler, obviously, at the coast by at least 15 degrees, thanks to that very chilly air on the Atlantic, and that will make for some cooler weather as well at the coast this weekend too, Ken.
It's amazing how much cooler it is at the shore versus, I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking 10 to 15 degree difference between the shore and inland and up a little bit. But that's because, as you said, those residual ocean temps are still chilly. They act like a big refrigerator, and you get some easterly winds and you get air conditioning off the ocean, basically. All right, sir, we'll check back. Much appreciated. 52 degrees now, northern New Jersey and Trenton, 51 degrees in as we're talking about now, 51 degrees in Cape May, and it's 52 degrees inland a bit in Vineland. And we look at our traffic. So let's talk about this. Let's go to 206. We have a down pole on 206 northbound at I-80 in Roxbury Township, all lanes closed. You can see sorry about the trees. It is what it is. In fact, in a few more weeks, you won't even be able to see what you see now, the flashing lights through the trees. But there are emergency vehicles back there showing the roadway closed. That's the best shot we got. And that is 206 at 80 closed right now. It's been that way for the last few hours due to a down pole. We have a lot of other issues right now. Route 3 is still an absolute mess. We have a crash with property damage eastbound at Passaic Avenue in Clifton. Right lane and ramp lane both closed, and that's causing 3 miles at least of delays as you make your way eastbound on Route 3. You can see this is at 21. So it shows you how far the delays are right now. Absolute disaster of a mess of a morning on Route 3 as a result. Your approaches to the Hudson River, not much better. Let's take the 139 Cam-Pam if you can. That is the 139, Route 139 from the Turnpike going into the Holland Tunnel. That's 35 to 40 minutes, absolute jam on the left side of your screen there. You see those lanes stopped. They're not going slowly, they're stopped. So that's an absolute mess. Not much better going into the Lincoln Tunnel. The approach, and this is about 1.25 miles before the mouth of the Lincoln Tunnel on 495 as you pass the big Lion King sign. Look at the middle lanes there, just jamming. The bus lanes are moving well, thankfully, but those middle lanes are crawling. That's going to cost you 40 minutes in. And then we get to the GWB upper and lower levels. In fact, there is an issue with a broken down tractor trailer on the right lane upper level of the GWB, causing delays. But the upper levels on the right, lower on the left, that's going to cost you 40 minutes across into Manhattan. Another quick mention, if you're headed to any of the big three airports, and you do not have a reserved parking space and you're driving yourself, go online and reserve a parking space. We're told that many of the lots are at 100% capacity. So if you have a flight to catch, you don't want to drive there and not be able to park your car and miss your flight. Go online, take a minute, reserve a parking space. That way you get there, you park your car, you get your flight. It is 35 minutes past the hour right now. And for many children with disabilities, access to physical activity can be difficult. But a unique partnership is changing that. Doctoral students from the Rutgers School of Health Professions are teaming up with Club Dreams in Ewing to bring adaptive programs like ballet and boxing to kids of all abilities. Joining us is Doctor of Physical Therapy, Dr. Ashley Conklin, along with student physical therapists Chance O'Neill, Emma Schneider, and Meme Sarfo to share more. Good morning to four of you, I should say. I'm not counting well at this early hour. I need my coffee. Good to have you all on.
Good morning.
Well, let's start with Ashley. Ashley, how did the partnership first come together?
Sure. So I'm a local clinician in the Ewing area, and I really just wanted to get involved a little bit more in the community and reached out to Club Dreams and saw a really amazing opportunity to bridge the classroom to the community and bring our students there. So we started with our first initiative back in 2022, which was our gross motor playgroup, which is an opportunity for our students to come and play with children with special needs, learn how to engage with them, communicate with them, and really empower them to achieve great things. And since then, our partnership has just grown, and we've developed more programs, and our OT program has also joined our endeavor there, and it's been a wonderful experience for everybody involved.
Describe some of the physical challenges that some of these kids have that is preventing them from many of the physical activities.
Sure. So a lot of children with special needs have problems with muscle tone or muscle strength, which makes it challenging for them to be able to do typical everyday skills like walking, accessing the bathroom, moving about their classrooms or their communities. So what we do is we try to come and bring them the ability to do that. We help to facilitate their walking, we facilitate play with peers, and really just help them to move and have fun and engage with their friends.
Oh, that's awesome. And by the way, for the record, I know you're physical therapists or physical therapy students among you. And I live with physical therapy. I go to physical therapy 2 to 3 days a week, and I love everything you do to make my life easier. Appreciate you. And in fact, I even have a nephew who's about to become a DPT. So big fan of physical therapy. By the way, everybody at home, you actually have to practice what they teach you at home for it to work. You don't just, right? You don't just go for an hour and think, oh, I'm cured. Or people say, it didn't work for me because they didn't do it at home. That's another story. We could do a whole show on that. So let's talk, Emma, too. You helped design Ballet Buddies. Tell us how the program works and what makes it adaptive for young children.
Yeah, so my program, Ballet Buddies, was designed for children with special needs between the ages of 2 and 8 years old. Our focus for this program was to help develop the participants' balance, coordination, and endurance through fun, interactive dance songs, and also ballet education. This program
Amazing.
also provided them the opportunity to engage with their peers, work on following directions, also just to have fun. So we did that
Ballet, if I can jump in, ballet is for those who don't realize, there were football players years ago that used to take ballet because of the muscle coordination that it produces, right? So it's not just a matter of, oh, it looks like pretty dance. You're talking about very fine muscle coordination involved when you get people into ballet. I didn't mean to step on you there.
Yeah, definitely. Holding all the different ballet positions, even just getting active and remembering all the dance steps really helps them engage with the being active.
Amazing. And Mame, you also worked on the boxing program, Flow and Footwork. Talk about the skills that participants are building through that.
So I developed the Flow and Footwork program loosely based on a Rocksteady intervention that's used for Parkinson's patients, but essentially the goal is to help build balance and endurance with these students. And basically we work on their core strength, we work on boxing through having them go through different jabs and different steps, and ultimately the goal is to help them have fun.
And the core is so important. I bet you a lot of those students didn't realize what happens when you start working your core and what it feels like.
Yeah, we definitely had a few participants leave fully sweaty and having fun.
That's the best kind of fun, right? But that's good workout and that's great training. And if they learn to keep that core tone, you're talking about a whole outlook on life that's going to be much better for them. Chance, from a student perspective, what's it been like working hands-on with these children and their families? This is basically, for those that don't get it, for a physical therapy student, this is basically like an internship.
It is like an internship, and for the last 2.5 years while I was a student at Rutgers, I've had the great opportunity to work in the gross motor play group that we've had at Club Dreams, and I've seen firsthand not only the benefits that it has for me as a student for real-time learning, but also for the families who are parents of these children with developmental delays who have to constantly worry about their children, and them having access to even further resources for their kiddos has shown to be a valuable asset for these people.
I love it. I love it. And Ashley, I can imagine it's so important. It's one thing to learn about something in a book, but to go out and actually work with, and it's another thing like for an old guy like me who has a hurt back, but you're dealing with children who have very special needs and it's a different circumstance in every case. This is probably the best training anyone could ever get.
It really is, because it helps the students to kind of bring their textbook to life, and really learn hands-on in the moment how they can make an impact, a very meaningful impact in these children's lives.
Amazing. Well, everybody go to their physical therapist, by the way. As my physical therapist likes to say, he loves doing what he does because people come to him in pain and leave feeling good. And not a lot of doctors can say that. So that's a good thing. Dr. Ashley Conklin, student physical therapist Chance O'Neill, Emma Schneider, and Mame Sarfo. I'm going to practice your name. Mame Afia Aboa Giewa Sarfo. Did I get it?
Almost.
All right, I'll practice. Thank you all for coming on this morning, and best of luck in your careers. And thank you for doing what you do. You're helping a lot of people out. We appreciate you.
So much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You bet. It's going to be cloudy, breezy, warm today. Highs about 79. Maybe a shower, though. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with a full Garden State forecast. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. We're back in 2. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, 845, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast.
This weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts, serving all of New Jersey with 13 locations.
And Mike, we're looking at some warm weather, but a little shower today, a little spritzy.
Little spritzy, yes. I forgot that term. We would always talk about a schwitz last year, and yet here we are. We're in schwitz season in New Jersey with actually some pretty dry weather over the last 30 days. We're actually in a 2-inch rainfall deficit down at the shore. However, that may change as some wet weather comes at us by the end of this week. Still just abnormally dry conditions for the drought across New Jersey. So while we're not entering spring technically in a drought, there is still concern that it stays very dry and doesn't get any better, at least over the next week or so. Warm weather across New Jersey today. The precipitation outlook is just basically average, not anticipating extremely dry weather nor extremely wet weather, so it's par for the course for April. Even through the end of the month, slightly warmer than average conditions. We'll take those going into the end of this week, and you can see clearly on the 7-day, well into the 80s as soon as tomorrow and Wednesday, peaking near 90, and then we tap into slightly cooler weather. Look at that, we fall off into Monday. Cold front does its job, gets us back down to 55 degrees on Monday. The shore point's a little bit cooler as expected with that temperature along the waterfront, much chillier going into this week. And then next week, right back down to average. We should be in the mid 50s, upper 50s this time of year, and we get there by next weekend.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Just quickly to mention 52 degrees, northern New Jersey, 52 degrees in Trenton. Now the AARP New Jersey Morning Minute, news, resources, and real-life help. Visit aarp.org. A recent piece of New Jersey legislation is meant to expand access to health care by empowering advanced practice nurses to play a larger role in patient care. Supporters say the bill could help address provider shortages and improve access, especially in underserved communities. To explain what this means is Winifred Quinn, advocacy volunteer with AARP. Good morning to you, Winifred.
Good morning, Ken. How are you today?
Wonderful, thank you. A little chilly, but that's okay. A few more days, Mike says, and we'll get some warmth.
Chilly.
So this was, I know nurse practitioners who were very concerned a few weeks ago because had Governor Sherrill not signed this bill, that would have meant that the whole idea of how a nurse practitioner can function as a primary care physician, if you will, would have changed. So talk about the advanced practice nurse bill and what would it change now, or what it is changing back, if you will.
Sure. So the state has about 19,000 nurse practitioners, and this law now will ensure that nurse practitioners who have 5,000 hours of clinical care within a contract with a physician would be able to have full practice authority after 5,000 hours in that contract. And that will immediately affect, I think, a couple of hundred of the state's nurse practitioners who provide both primary care, which is pretty widely defined in the legislation, and mental health services. So there will be primary care providers, not physicians, but providers, and mental health clinicians as well.
There you go.
Which will,
so these
right. And actually that will help improve access to care, primary care and mental health services for, I think the count was, the estimate was about 15,000 consumers. So patients would be able to continue to access the care that they've been accessing under the former executive order from Governor Murphy.
There is no way the healthcare system could sustain itself without nurse practitioners in the state of New Jersey and PAs helping doctors. There just aren't enough human beings as medical doctors to go around. And the idea here is when you have 5,000 clinical hours, you are very well trained on top of the years of education that these nurse practitioners receive. So when I hear people say, they're just like doctors, Yeah, they have the same training and the same experience. The laws are changing, and of course, the education is evolving. But thank God we have our nurse practitioners because we couldn't function. We just couldn't. As you said, at least
Absolutely.
15,000 people would be without that we know of, and it would be even worse. Right now, it takes months sometimes to get an appointment with a primary care somebody who could treat you, whether it be a nurse
That's right.
practitioner or medical doctor. So now this bill directly helps patients and improves access to care. Why
That's
is
right.
this issue so important in New Jersey, and why hasn't this legislation moved forward more quickly, you think?
So, well, the last time the law was updated was, I think, in 1995, and there was a compromise struck then. And over the last almost 20 years, a group of nursing organizations in the state have tried to improve it. And there's the political will, I guess, just wasn't there for either
Mhm.
party to move it forward. And then when COVID struck 6 years ago, in this month, in April of 2020, Governor Murphy signed an executive order regarding the COVID emergency. And in that, he had the provision that all APNs in the state would have full practice authority. And so then the nursing organizations, and this time AARP New Jersey, in coalition together, were reaching out to both the new governor's office, Governor Sherrill, as well as all the legislative leaders to underscore, hey, tens of thousands of patients have had direct access to the state's APNs over the last 6 years. Imagine what's going to happen when the original emergency order ends, executive order ends. And so I think the legislative leaders realized that not only would people suffer, but healthcare costs would go up, including for Medicaid, and that would impact the
Mhm.
state budget. So I just think that a lot of factors were coming in together at the same time that moved the legislation forward as quickly as it did in this new legislative session.
Yeah, and you briefly touched on Medicaid there. The impact on the healthcare shortages, but specifically healthcare shortages in underserved areas, and how these nurse practitioners help there. Talk about that.
So I don't have the data at my hands to say how many advanced practice nurses and clinical nurse specialists, who this includes, are serving in the state's rural and urban areas. But what I can say is that on February 9th, I was giving testimony, and I was at the same table as me. There were two nurses who also gave testimony, one who runs a federally qualified health center down in Camden County, and another nurse practitioner who's a psychiatric nurse practitioner. And they were both, their testimony was so powerful. The woman that's based in Camden was talking about the most vulnerable patients that she cares for, who had really been neglected in many ways, and it was her team that was able to finally provide these kids, mostly kids, who had been so vulnerable and abused, the care that they needed. And then the psychiatric nurse practitioner was talking about, she had 300 patients who, if this law didn't pass, those patients, who mostly were low income, were going to most likely be relying on the emergency room and other desperate kinds of programs of care, or
Yeah,
not get care at all. And that's just
that's
one
horrifying.
psychiatric nurse practitioner.
There's just so much need, and what a specialty that is, psychiatric nurse practitioner. So a psychiatric nurse practitioner, for those who don't understand, versus a therapist, psychiatric nurse practitioner, like a psychiatrist, can prescribe medications, correct, for somebody who needs psychiatric care,
That's correct.
which is so
And
needed.
and
And yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, Winifred.
just like now the nurses with full practice, the nurse practitioners and the clinical nurse specialists, those who have been certified in prescriptive authority with those 5,000 hours, now have full prescriptive authority to provide the full range of services to their clientele.
Amazing. How can people learn more or get involved if they support this effort?
Well, they can reach out to AARP New Jersey. They can reach out to the New Jersey State Nurses Association and the Society for Psychiatric Advanced Practice Nurses of New Jersey really did an excellent job leading the coalition in the last few months. They can also get in touch with that society.
Wonderful. Winifred Quinn, advocacy volunteer with AARP. So essential. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thanks for having us, Ken.
You bet. And that was Winifred from last week. We taped that segment. We're going to be doing more segments with our sponsor, AARP, in the days and weeks ahead. We appreciate you and your sponsorship. It is now 8:56. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says we will have cloudy, breezy, warm conditions today, maybe a shower. Highs about 79, though it gets warmer through the week. And that is on New Jersey Mornings for your Monday, April 13th, 2026. I'm Ken Rosato. Remember, you could stream us live at onnj.com or our other regional channels, onlaca.com for California, onfla.com for Florida. We're also on Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. We stream live as well on Substack, Rumble, Twitch, and Local Now. We're everywhere. We'll catch you again tomorrow morning starting at 7. Remember, we're live 7 to 9 a.m. First hour, 7 to 8 is on all our channels. 8 to 9 is just New Jersey. 9 to 11 is a rerun. And tell all your friends about us if you like us. And if you don't, keep it our little secret. Until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., have a great day. Thanks for watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We'll see you again tomorrow.